Chapter 66. Back in his room on the 5th floor of the restaurant, Shen Shen let out a light sigh, as a faint smile appeared on his face. If he obtained the position of the champion of the weapon refining competition, there would definitely be a great power that would try to recruit him. If he did not have a strong background, it was very possible that he would offend the other party if he refused. Of course, when recruiting, those great powers were very willing to give up their capital, especially towards those young artificers with especially astonishing potential. The things they offered were extremely attractive, and under normal circumstances, if the chief himself didn't belong to a certain force, he wouldn't refuse. She had noticed the commotion on the platform just now. Although he could not hear what they were saying, he could guess one or two things from their actions. After the rewards were given out, it should be the Divine Armament Hall and the great Tang imperial family that continuously recruited Tang Huan. If Tang Huan was just an ordinary young artificer, agreeing to their recruitment wouldn't be inappropriate. However, Tang Huan possessed the Divine Tools Catalog scroll, so if he were to accept the invitation and reveal the secret, it was very possible that it would immediately lead to disaster. Even if there was only a single page of the Divine Tools Catalog's remnant scroll, it would still attract the coveting of countless experts, not to mention that Tang Huan possessed an entire 5 pages. The good thing was that from the movements over there, Tang Huan had probably rejected it. Although she didn't know what kind of offer the Divine Armament Hall and the great Tang imperial family had made, with Tang Huan's performance in the artifact forging competition, it was definitely not low, and it was difficult for him to resist the temptation. Not good, I have to hurry back. Don't let this bastard discover that I've slipped out. Seeing that Tang Huan was walking down the stage, Shen Shan was startled. He immediately stood up and ran out of the private room. The sound of his footsteps got weaker and weaker. Brother Gu, you actually gave away one of the 5 great spiritual fires, the Nirvana Sacred Fire. On the high platform, Wu Xin could not help but shake his head and sigh as he watched Tang Huan's departing figure. Muku and King Yi's eyes were filled with amazement. They all knew very well that the special reward that they had originally prepared for the competition's chief was for Master Gu Yi to personally forge a top-grade and medium-grade weapon that was suitable for refiners. He never expected that Gu Yi would change his mind and send the map of the Nirvana Sacred Fire out at the very last moment. My talent is limited. To become a master refiner is already my limit. Even if I obtain the Nirvana Sacred Fire, it's impossible for me to successfully fuse it. If the map is of no use to me, I might as well give it to this little fellow. Gu Yi lightly stroked his long beard and slowly said, moreover, giving him a map, to you, is difficult to predict whether it will be a blessing or a curse. If he is able to successfully fuse with the Nirvana Sacred Fire, perhaps he will be able to become a tools refining great master by the age of 30. Naturally, this would be our human clan's great fortune, but if he fails. As he spoke up to this point, Gu Yi sighed softly and frowned slightly. Wu Xin, Muku, and King Yi fell into silence upon hearing this. Although Gu Yi did not say it out loud, the meaning behind his words was extremely clear. Speaking from this point of view, the map that he had given Tang Huan, the Nirvana Sacred Fire, was indeed a good thing or a bad thing. When the 4 of them were silent, the crowd had mostly dispersed. Then, a large group of young men began to enter the square to clean up the mess. At this point, the weapon refining competition, which had gathered thousands of young refiners from all over the continent, had completely come to an end. However, the effects of the tournament had already begun to ferment. What? That Tang Huan obtained the lead representative of the artifact forging competition? Are you sure it's that little bastard? In a quiet courtyard in the western part of Nuling, Furious Waves City, a sharp voice suddenly rang. The one who spoke was a richly dressed woman around the age of 27 or 28. She had oval face, red phoenix eyes, beautiful looks, and a mature and slim figure. At this moment, she stared blankly at the old man with gray hair, her face filled with disbelief. This woman was the Tang family patriarch, Tang Tanren's main wife, Mai Xin. It's indeed him. The old man bowed slightly. his expression dark, hateful. That little bastard is actually getting more and more popular. Moments later, Mai Xin's shock was replaced by an unconcealable anger. The 5 people that Tang Tianxi chose are all trash and have yet to return. Maybe they all died in the forest of the secret realm. Uncle Lin, that nephew of yours is also a piece of trash. He was actually scared senseless and still hasn't recovered from it even now. If that little bastard were to die in the secret realm forest, things like today would never happen again. Uncle Lin slightly lowered his head, not saying a word. He could only bitterly smile. Mai Xin was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. If we obtain the position of the champion of this tournament, we will be recruited by others. Uncle Lin, do you know which family will be the one to recruit him? I heard that the Divine Armament Hall and the Great Tang Imperial family recruited him before, and invited him to go to the Heavenly Forging City and the God Down City. Unfortunately, he rejected them all. When he heard this news, he was also shocked. There was actually someone who continuously rejected Divine Armament Hall and the Great Tang Imperial family's recruitment. Reject? Is there something wrong with that little bastard's head? Mai Xin froze for a moment. Clearly, something unexpected had happened, but right after, she sneered and said, "Reject? Well, reject. If he does not reject us, after we go to Heavenly Forging City or Fallen God City, we will be at a loss of what to do to him. But now, there is a chance for us to make a move." She paused for a moment before gritting her teeth and saying, "Uncle Lin, you have to think of a way to get rid of this person. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep or eat in peace." "Yes, this old servant understands." Linbo slightly bowed. "Where's the patriarch?" "But we're back." A sarcastic smile appeared on Mai Xin's face as she continued, "Seeing those vile seeds of yours be the chief of the blacksmith's competition, they must be suffering from a bad taste, right?" The moment the patriarch returned, he was summoned by the old ancestor. Uncle Lin quickly said, "That old thing, why didn't he close his doors and cultivate his skills? Why did he suddenly appear out of nowhere?" Hearing this, Mai Xin frowned. "Madam, please be careful." Uncle Lin was startled. "What are you afraid of?" However, Mai Xin snorted in disapproval. At this time, in the depths of the Tang family compound, Tang Tanren was walking into a simple and ancient small hall. Not long after, a vigorous voice came out from inside. "Tian Ren, I heard that the Tang Huan who obtained the position of artifact forging competition this time is your illegitimate child?" "Grandfather, you know about it?" Tang Tanren's expression was extremely respectful. Opposite him was a haggard old man in white, his face wrinkled as if he had stepped into a coffin. "How could I not know about such an important matter?" The white-clothed old man snorted. "My Tang clan has been in the Nuling, Furious Waves, city for more than 100 years, but there has never been a clan disciples who has been out there." "Tenzin, you have handled this matter too inappropriately. How can you abandon your son because of the woman's words? Go and invite Tang Huan back to the Tang family. No matter what you do." "Grandfather, this, I'm afraid that it won't do." Tang Tanren's face changed. "Why not?" The white-robed old man's eyes suddenly became sharp. Tang Tanren lowered his head, hesitated for a moment, but in the end he gritted his teeth and said, "Grandfather, actually this Tang Huan is not a... Chapter 67. Is he drunk? North of Nuling, Furious Waves, city, inside a smithy, slept soundly while sprawled out on his stomach. Tang Huan couldn't help but laugh and cry. Little one was an alcoholic. When there was wine, he drank it all, and when he drank it all he got drunk. Strange, I've already poured out all the wine at home. Where can I find wine to drink? You didn't take it with you, did you? Tang Huan looked at Shan Shan suspiciously. Where? Maybe it found you before you poured it all out. Shan Shan immediately denied with a little guilt, and then asked while knowing the answer, "Oh yes, what number did you get this time, and what reward did you get?" Tang Huan had originally only asked casually, but upon hearing that, he chuckled. "First place." "Wow, how amazing!" Shan Shan exclaimed. "You actually got first place in the competition." Looking at her exaggerated expression, Tang Huan was startled, and then looking at little one whose stomach was bulging, he suddenly realized, and unhappily curled his lips. All right, stop pretending, Your acting skills are really too tragic. You must have seen the end of this artifact forging competition from the beginning to end. How do you know? Being exposed by Tang Huan, Shan Shan could not help but blush slightly. If you didn't see it, and know that I've obtained first place, you would definitely say it. It's just that, what's so great about being first place in the weapon refining competition? If you have the ability, then you can take first place in the tools method sacred assembly. Tang Huan imitated Shan Shan's expression and coldly snorted. After saying that, a hint of a confident smile appeared on Tang Huan's face. The champion of the artifact forging competition is only the first step. In another 2 years, I might really go to Heavenly Forging City to get the head of the tools method sacred assembly. Aren't you afraid of breaking your cowhide? Shan Shan no longer had to pretend. He could only snort coldly, identical to the expression that Tang Huan had imitated just now. Then you just wait and see. Tang Huan squinted his eyes and smiled, then changed the topic. Shan Shan, do you know of the 5 great spiritual fire? Can you explain it to me in detail? Of course I know. Why are you asking this? Shan Shan was startled, but still said, the spiritual fire is a flame that is even stronger than the true fire. All the artificers of our continent and origin continent, the first true fire that we fused with, is from the true fire pool of the Sword Forging Valley. That true fire pond has existed for countless years. No matter how the world changes, the flames have never extinguished. It is said that this is because a peerless expert of the ancient era was able to cultivate a huge fire seed, and thus produced a true fire that will never go out. But the spiritual fire is different. It is a type of flame that is naturally formed. Different spiritual fire have different characteristics. When forging a weapon, one can display certain characteristics of the weapon to an extremely terrifying degree. Every single spiritual fire in this world has existed for a long time, and in these long years, they have already given birth to a strong spirit. It's precisely because of this that fusing with the spiritual fire is so difficult. Since ancient times, there have been countless refiners who have attempted to fuse with the spiritual fire, but the majority of them have already lost their souls, and only a few have succeeded. So that's how it is. Tang Huan slowly nodded, and then could not help but ask, in that 100 years, did any artificer successfully integrate with the spiritual fire? Probably not. Shan Shan thought for a moment before shaking his head, and said, the spiritual fire is different from the true fire in the true fire pond. Since it has a strong spirit, it would not stay in the same place for thousands of years. Of course, it is also possible that some artificers may discover his whereabouts and keep it a secret. Then how many more spiritual fire exist within the continents of this world? Tang Huan asked doubtfully. There have always been only 5. Shan Shan laughed and said, in ancient times, even though there were a few refiners who successfully fused with the spiritual fire, after they died, the spiritual fire would leave their body and return to the world. Therefore, the total number of spiritual fire has never changed. After saying that, Shan Shan laughed out of curiosity. Tang Huan, you ignorant fool, why are you suddenly interested in the spiritual fire? Tang Huan was silent for a moment, before he finally focused on Shan Shan and said, I've obtained the spiritual fire. This kind of hidden location map apostrophe. What? Shan Shan was shocked, but immediately she realized, I understand. The champion's special prize is precisely this. Instantly, Shan Shan's expression became extremely solemn. Tang Huan, I advise you not to look for the Nirvana sacred fire. Even though it is incomparably precious, it is also incomparably dangerous. For countless years, there have been countless genius artificers who suffered from backlash after fusing with the spiritual fire, causing their souls to scatter. If I really die because of the fusion of the Nirvana sacred fire, then my death would also be worth it. Hearing this, Tang Huan couldn't help but laugh. If she had heard that Shan Shan had a map of the location where the Nirvana sacred fire was hidden, she would have immediately asked him to take a look, or ask him where the map was pointing. Tang Huan might even suspect her motives, but the first thing she did was advise him not to look for the Nirvana sacred fire. However, Shan Shan's persuasion did not waver Tang Huan's plans in the slightest. Of course, The reason he was so sure was because of the existence of the Nine Yang divine furnace, allowing him to have more confidence in merging with the Nirvana sacred fire. Shan Shan's beautiful face revealed a look of anger. She was clearly infuriated by his reply. Tang Huan's smile faded as he said slowly, "The location indicated on the map is Fengming Mountain." Fengming Mountain? Hearing this, Shan Shan did not care about being angry, and shouted out in surprise, "Your reaction seems to be a little too big." Seeing that, Tang Huan could not help but laugh. Shan Shan rolled his eyes fiercely at Tang Huan and snorted, "Do you know that one of the 8 demon kings under the Devil Lord Fen Tian's command, Fire Wing Phoenix King, might very well be hiding inside Fengming Mountain right now? Furthermore, that Fire Wing Phoenix King might very well have a page or two of the Divine Tools Catalog's remnant scrolls on his body." Fire Wing Phoenix King? Tang Huan secretly took a deep breath, then his eyes lit up. Since she has the Divine Tools Catalog remnant, then Fengming Mountain is even more appropriate. However, Fire Wing Phoenix King is the same as the Howling Firmament Wolf King. They are equivalent to the level 8 martial saint of humanity. With my current strength, the chances of me seizing the Divine Tools Catalog's remnant scroll from her is practically zero. If I were to accidentally get hit by her, I might even lose my life. Shan Shan scoffed, "You don't have to worry about that. The Firewing Phoenix King was severely injured in the war against the plane between 2 continents, and the only way to return to Fengming Mountain is to go recuperate from your injuries." "She's hurt too?" Tang Huan was pleasantly surprised. Looking at his expression, Shan Shan could tell what he was thinking. He said with a cold smile, "Why do you think the Firewing Phoenix King is able to return to Fengming Mountain after being heavily injured? If she was found out so easily, all of us human rankers would have already killed our way up Fengming Mountain and killed her off." "Well, how do I find out that you seem to know everything? You even know about the secret news of the Firewing Phoenix King at Fengming Mountain?" Tang Huan laughed dryly. "I don't know everything. You are just too ignorant." Shan Shan's beautiful eyes flickered slightly, but she covered it up well. She pursed her red lips in disdain. "As long as you know who the Firewing Phoenix King is, you can roughly guess where she is right now." Chapter 68. Although he already had 5 pages of the Divine Tools Catalog fragment, Tang Huan still didn't know a thing about how to forge a divine armament. In this regard, he was not surprised at all. If the current him could forge a divine armament, then the divine armament in this world would have been as worthless as weeds by the side of the road. However, even though he was unable to forge a divine armament, Tang Huan was still extremely interested in the Divine Tools Catalog remnant scrolls. This was entirely due to his hobbies from his previous life. From Shan Shan's words, he found out that Firewing Phoenix King was most likely to have the fragment atlas, but he didn't rashly head towards the origin continent immediately. He had a lot to do before he left. First, was naturally to use the blazing heartstone left behind by Uzi to forge a middle-ranked weapon for himself. But before he could truly fight, he had to first use a few middle-ranked weapons to practice. After lunch, Tang Huan started to busy himself in the smithy. There was a strict dividing line between mid-grade weapons and low-grade weapons. Low-tier weapons only needed to select a good time, smeared the gemstone juice on it, and then fuse it together again. For mid-tier weapons, one must use the gemstone solution to draw the outline of spirit map on the tool slab, in order to maximize the power of the gemstone. This was the most important thing. Next, the fusion of mid-tier weapons required 2 types of gemstones. It was because of this reason that although Tang Huan had used 2 gems to forge the long spear he had forged with the jadeite tiny stone and the red rainbow stone, it did not have the outline of a spirit map. It could only be considered a low-level weapon. Ding dang, ding, clang. In the smithy, Tang Huan's upper body was bared, and he was sweating profusely as he hammered black profound iron non-stop. After 2 or 3 months, not only had Tang Huan become more robust, he had also grown a lot taller. Unknowingly, the sun had already set in the west, and the rays of light were as magnificent as blood. Tang Huan seemed to have suddenly noticed something, and looked towards the outside of the store, where 5 figures were walking in. Seeing the 5 people, Tang Huan was slightly startled, but immediately after, he smiled, but there was no smile in his eyes. Among the 5, other than Black Costume Old Man, the other people were all Tang Huan's old friends, Tang Zhao, Tang Hong, Tang Zhong and Tang Junji. However, these 4 old friends all had extremely strange expressions on their faces, as if they had been raped and humiliated. This old man, Tang Tianda, shall be the Tang family's steward, and you shall be Tang Huan. When they reached the shop, the black costume old man smiled and said with a gentle voice, "Exactly." Tang Huan smirked. "What can I do for you?" Black costume old man slightly nodded, but in the next moment, his face darkened and shouted at Tang Zhao and the others with a stern expression, "Rascal! Hurry up and apologize to Tang Huan." Hearing this, the shame and anger on Tang Zhao and Tang Hong's faces intensified. "Tang Huan, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I shouldn't have come to find trouble with you." Tang Zhao took a deep breath in the end and forced out a smile on his face as he apologized to Tang Huan. However, when he spoke, his hands were already tightly clenched, and his knuckles were white. With Tang Zhao leading the way, Tang Hong, Tang Zhong and Tang Junji also apologized one after the other. Their expressions were ugly, as if they had swallowed everything that they had pulled out from their butts. "I see." Tang Huan suddenly laughed. "Tang Tianda, are you here to invite me back to the Tang family?" First, he had activated the 12-meter totem flames with his physique which belonged to the metal element, and then displayed astonishing potential during the artifact forging competition. Furthermore, he had won the support of the Divine Armament Hall and the Great Tang Imperial family, so it was impossible for the Tang family to ignore this. But who had come up with this idea? That's right. However, he soon sighed with a sincere expression, and said, "Tang Huan, in these dozen years, our Tang family has been shaming ourselves against you and your mother. I hope you can give the Tang family a chance to make amends." Sure enough, a mocking smile surfaced on Tang Huan's face. "Tang Tand, it's easy if you want me to return. You only need to agree to 3 conditions." "Speak." "This old man can make the decision for most things," Tang Tand said with a smile on his face. "First, let that woman from the Tang clan, Mai Xin, come personally and kneel down to invite me," Tang Huan said with a smile. "What?" When Tang Tand heard this, his expression abruptly changed. Tang Zhao, Tang Hong, Tang Zhong and Tang Junji also looked at Tang Huan with abnormally shocked expressions. Mai Xin was the wife of the patriarch, yet Tang Huan actually wanted her to kneel and invite her in? Secondly, get Tang Tanren and Mai Xin to kowtow in front of my mother's grave to apologize. Tang Huan smiled again. "You." Tang Tan's expression was even more unsightly. Tang Zhao and the others were completely dumbfounded. Tang Huan ignored the expressions of the 5 and continued. "Thirdly, ask Tang Tanren to divorce Mai Xin and arrange a wedding in front of my mother's grave. Marry my mother as the legal wife." You. Tang Tan was so angry that his entire body was trembling. This little scoundrel wanted Mai Xin to kneel down and beg for forgiveness, but he also wanted the clan head to kowtow in front of the grave. Even more outrageously, this little scoundrel wanted the clan head to divorce his wife and take her as his wife. What the hell? If the Tang clan can fulfill these 3 conditions, then I will naturally be a disciple of the Tang clan. Tang Huan looked at Tang Tand, his face full of smiles. "Tang Huan, this is impossible." Tang Tan took a deep breath and spoke with a dark expression as he suppressed the urge to smack the smiling face of his opponent until it exploded. "Since it's impossible, then scram." Tang Huan sneered and curled his lips. "In terms of seniority, this old man is still your clan uncle." "You, how dare you speak to me like that?" Tang Tan's face was gloomy, and he was unable to contain his anger. "Uncle?" "Tang Tand, you think too highly of yourself. In my opinion, you are just an old dog of Tang Jia's." Tang Huan squinted his eyes and laughed. "How dare you?" Tang Tand, as the head steward of the Tang clan, had always had a great reputation in the Nuling, Furious Waves, city. When had he ever been humiliated like this? He took a step forward and slightly raised his right fist. An extremely enormous aura whizzed out from his body, pressing towards Tang Huan with the force of a landslide. "You dare to attack?" Tang Huan stood straight, fearless. Inside his Danshan, the cauldron was revolving, causing the impact of the aura on him to almost be nil. "You!" Tang Tan paused in his actions, his mind immediately calming down from his anger. Indeed, he did not dare make a move. This Tang Huan was no longer the same Tang Huan as before. Not only was he a low-ranked divine inscriptionist, he had also obtained the champion of the artifact forging competition, as well as the support of the Divine Armament Hall and the Great Tang Imperial family. If he were to make a move in Nuling, Furious Waves, City, it would most likely cause a huge trouble for the Tang clan. "Let's go." "Tang Huan, you better behave." Tang Tan lowered his fist and swept a cold glance at Tang Huan before he turned around and left. Tang Zhao and the others followed behind, as if they had just woken up from a dream. Chapter 69. Tang Huan, your 3 conditions are really harsh. The Tang family will definitely not agree. Shan Shan's beautiful voice sounded out from behind him. "Of course I know that the Tang clan would not agree. However, since you said the conditions are harsh, I don't think so." Tang Huan laughed. However, it was a pity that before he could even realize his wish, he was beaten to death by Tang Hong and those bastards. However, when he died, Tang Huan used his body to live on. Naturally, Tang Huan would help to realize his wish. However, compared to the 3 conditions that Tang Huan had mentioned, the Tang clan's actions were even more loathsome. If it wasn't for his good luck, coupled with the great increase in his strength, he might have been burned to ashes that day in the Confusion Forest. But, what if the Tang clan really agrees? Shan Shan could not help but ask again. "If the Tang clan can really fulfill the 3 conditions I mentioned." A cold glint flashed past Tang Huan's eyes. He had yet to think about Shan Shan's problem. Furthermore, the possibility of such a thing happening was not something that Shan Shan had mentioned. The origin of Mai Xin was not that simple. Tang Tanren definitely would not dare to let her go, otherwise, the Tang family would definitely meet with trouble. ... Rascal. This rascal. In the Tang clan assembly hall, a low roar suddenly echoed. Tang Tanren's face was ashen as he smacked the armrest of his chair to pieces. Tang Tanshai, Tang Tang, and the other higher-ups in the hall also had ugly expressions on their faces. Furthermore, Tang Tanshai had not settled the debt for his 2 sons' hard beating. And now that he was forced to apologize to Tang Huan, if he really could win Tang Huan's understanding and let him return to the clan, then that would be fine. After all, with Tang Huan's potential, he had a high possibility of becoming a tools refining great master in the future. With the tools refining great master overseeing things, the Tang family would become a powerful clan under the heavens, and would no longer be limited to just this one small corner of the Nuling, Furious Waves, City. But they didn't expect that the news they were waiting for was this kind of news. The first condition that Tang Huan put forward was already impossible to accomplish. Mai Xin was the daughter of a general in the Great Tang Empire and her father was extremely close to the Stage 9 martial saint. If Mai Xin had suffered such humiliation in the Tang family, would her father just let it go? Tang Huan doesn't even want to return to the clan. Otherwise, why would he propose such unreasonable conditions? Tang Tiande couldn't help but smile bitterly. After he returned to the clan, he was able to control his coldness. He felt quite helpless in his heart. Now, they had finally grown up with great difficulty. Moreover, they had grown up with great difficulty, and had even become a refiner. Moreover, they had shocked everyone in the competition with a single move. And now, they were going to ask him to come back. No matter who it was, he would definitely not easily agree. "Big brother, what should we do now?" Tang Tanshai gritted his teeth as he spoke. "I'll first go and report to the old ancestor. The old man will be the one to make the decision." Tang Tanren slowly stood up, but his face was twitching slightly. Clang, clang, clang. In the Tang clan's quiet courtyard, several vases were swept to the ground, smashing into pieces. Mai Xin's pretty face was frozen, her eyes revealed a murderous look, and her voice was as cold as ice. "This little bastard that deserves to be cut apart 1,000 times dares to humiliate me like this." "Uncle Lin, I don't want to see him live in this world for a moment longer. Madam, don't worry, there will be a chance soon. Forget it. Since that is the case, if there is a chance, we should eliminate him. It is a pity that such a talented artificer with shocking potential is here. If he was here, our Tang clan might be able to become a great clan of the world in 10 to 20 years. In another palace in the Tang family, a sigh sounded out. Tianren, you are really too muddle-headed. Sigh, it's fine if you don't mention it. Grandfather, with longer hair, there is still a lot of hope for the Tang clan. Tang Long, I hope so. How hateful. In a luxurious guest room in a tavern in Nuling, Furious Waves, City, Sha Tu, who was quietly sitting on the bed, suddenly opened his eyes. Looking at his still red and swollen right fist, he clenched his teeth and roared, Tang Huan, I will definitely kill you. Even though 2 days had passed, the anger in his chest was still unquenchable. As the second prince of the Shiran Empire, he had always been doted upon by his royal father, and had always lived in luxury since he was young. No one had ever dared to utter a single heavy word to him, but in the weapon refining competition 2 days ago, it was the first time in his history that he had been ruthlessly humiliated by someone. Whenever he recalled the scene from that day, it was as if his heart was bitten by a poisonous snake. He was crazed with rage, and wished that he could immediately grab Tang Huan to vent the hatred in his heart. And Mo Yi, I won't let you off so easily. After breathing for a moment, a sinister and obscene expression appeared on Sha Tu's handsome face. You actually dare to come here and cause trouble for me? In half a year, the two of us will get married. When that happens, we'll see how this king will take care of you. When he thought of the usually arrogant and beautiful young girl being wantonly trampled upon by him, an intense pleasure emerged from the bottom of Sha Tu's heart for no reason. Someone, come. After laughing evilly to himself for a moment, Sha Tu suddenly raised his head and looked towards the door. Your Highness. Immediately, a tall man in his 30s pushed open the door and slightly bowed. Have you found out where that bastard is staying? Sha Tu said in a deep voice. The tall man laughed bitterly and shook his head. Your Highness, we have not found out. That person seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. He previously had no reputation in the Nuling, Furious Waves, City. After all, we are from the outside world, and our manpower is limited. In addition, to avoid attracting the Divine Armament Hall's attention, we should not investigate him arrogantly. Trash. Rice bucket. Sha Tu's expression instantly became gloomy. As long as that person could live for one more day, he wouldn't feel at ease. But now, he actually couldn't make any progress for 2 days. The tall man lowered his head, silent. Got it. We got it. Right at this moment, a surprised voice sounded out. Following that, a black-clothed man rushed to the door. Your Highness, I have already found out where Tang Huan lives. He is staying in a small blacksmith shop at the northern border of Nuling, Furious Waves, City. As he said this, the man in black couldn't help but lower his voice and add, the blacksmith shop's location is extremely remote, and there are very few houses nearby. In addition, there are only 2 people in the blacksmith shop, and in addition to him, there is a young woman who should only be an ordinary person. Good. Very good. Hearing this, Sha Tu's complexion finally turned pale. Wu Yin, immediately arrange it. We'll do it tonight. There shouldn't be too many people around. That bastard is only a rank 4 martial master. You're a rank 5 martial master. You just need to bring 4 to 5 rank 4 martial masters. There is absolutely no mistake. Once you succeed, immediately meet up with me outside the city. Also, let's see how beautiful that woman is. If she's not bad, then don't kill her and just capture her. Yes, sir. The tall man immediately bowed in response. Chapter 70. Another evening. Inside the blacksmith shop, Tang Huan looked at the red lance in his hand with satisfaction. This spear was entirely forged from the piece of hematite obtained during the tournament. It was 2 meters long, and the tip and even the body of the spear were a fiery red color. The long spear's style was similar to the Conqueror's spear in the Divine Armament, however, it was far from being as complex as the Conqueror's spear. Therefore, He did not need to worry about being associated with a conqueror's spear. However, if one looked carefully, one would be able to see that within the body of the long spear, one could vaguely see numerous fine lines that were quite agile and smooth. These lines were first red and green, but when they reached the tip of the spear, they completely turned red. This is the middle-level weapon spirit map. What outlined the red spirit map was the flaming heart stone left behind by Master Tang Huan, and the green spirit map was formed from the middle-ranked gem green fluorite. The low-level and middle-level weapons that Tang Huan had obtained at the artifact forging competition were coincidentally taken to a weapon shop and exchanged for 3 of the more common green fluorites. If the flaming heart stone was said to be fire, then the green fluorite stone would be equivalent to gasoline. If the two were to work together, it would be like adding oil to the fire, causing the flames to become even more intense. 3 green fluorite, 9 heart flames stone, and a large piece of hematite turned into the fire-red long spear in Tang Huan's hands. It was as if the old man had calculated it accurately, and the 9 heart-blazing stones he had left behind were all used on the spearhead in the end. I'll just call you Scarlet Flame Spear. Tang Huan stroked his spear with both hands and muttered to himself while smiling. Then, Tang Huan's face turned serious, the spear in his hand suddenly shook, and with a kai sound, he thrust it out. In a split second, the long spear began to shine with a brilliant light, from its body to the tip, as if red-green lights were rapidly trembling. The entire spear became overflowing with light. An extremely hot energy began to radiate from the spear. The closer it got, the hotter it became, to the point of the spear's tip, the hotter it became. The long spear was like a fire dragon as it roared forward. The instant the tip of the spear stabbed to the end, an abnormally fierce heat surged out like a volcanic eruption, and actually set off an ear-piercing explosion, as if even that small piece of air was set ablaze. Feeling the might of the spear, Tang Huan's face was filled with joy. With this crimson flame spear coupled with the flaming rainbow spear art left behind by the old man, he was sure that it could unleash a power far beyond his imagination. Good spear. A beautiful female voice suddenly sounded out, although it is only a middle-tier weapon, but, even high-tier weapons, I'm afraid it is only mediocre. Her voice was clear and melodious, like a pearl falling onto a jade plate. It's you? Tang Huan's heart jumped. He immediately retracted his spear and frowned. The one who had suddenly appeared was the Grand Princess Mo Yi of the Moyan Empire. She had red hair and blue eyes, dressed in a yellow skirt, slim and graceful, with a flattering look on her face, and a hint of a smile. Behind Mo Yi were 2 middle-aged women about 40 years of age, who were as still as statues. When he suddenly saw Mo Yi, Tang Huan felt rather surprised. He had thought that she had already left the Nuling, Furious Waves, city after the competition ended, but he did not expect that not only had she not left, she had even found this place. Grand Princess, what do you need me for? Tang Huan said in a heavy voice. Can't you come visit your friends if you have nothing to do? Mo Yi smiled lightly. I don't remember that we were friends. Tang Huan slowly said. If I say you're my friend, then you're my friend, regardless of whether you admit it or not. Mo Yi raised her brows slightly, her tone carrying an aura which could not be refused. Tang Huan, I came here only to remind you that you will be in great trouble tonight. If you are willing, you can come to my residence for a night. I don't want to see my friend die without a sound. Thank you, Grand Princess, for your reminder. Tang Huan was surprised, then smiled indifferently. However, how should I handle this? I do not need your highness to worry. Since that's the case, I won't force you. Farewell. Mo Yi cupped his hands together, then turned around and left without the slightest bit of procrastination. Not long later, she and the 2 middle-aged women had already disappeared from Tang Huan's sight. Tang Huan was greatly surprised, his brows knitted even more tightly. The image that this Grand Princess of the Moyan Empire gave him was not only arrogant, but also seemed to have a plan in mind. Tang Huan refused to believe that she came here just to remind him. However, Tang Huan was still unable to figure out what exactly she was plotting. Grand Princess, could it be the Moyan Empire's Mo Yi? Shan Shan walked out gracefully. You know about it again? Tang Huan asked curiously. Who doesn't know of the chief princess of the Moyan Empire? Mo Yi. Shan Shan unhappily rolled his eyes at Tang Huan. She and the second prince of the Shirin Empire, Sha Tu, have already been set on marriage. They will be married in half a year. She's actually engaged to Sha Tu? Tang Huan was stunned. What did she come here to find you for? Shan Shan rolled his eyes at Tang Huan. If I say that she was subdued by my charm at the artifact forging competition and fell in love with me at first sight, wanting to come over here and do good deeds before leaving Nuling, Furious Waves, City and give Sha Tu a green hat, would you believe me? Tang Huan looked at Shan Shan playfully and laughed. I didn't expect you to have such luck with women. Why don't I go and help you call her back so you can have a good night? Shan Shan's pretty face revealed a brilliant smile, but when Tang Huan heard the words she said, he could feel her gritting her teeth. Ha ha. Just kidding. She's only here to warn me. I'm afraid it will be more lively tonight. Tang Huan immediately replied in a serious tone. Oh? Shan Shan's eyes flashed. Tang family? Not necessarily. Tang Huan shook his head. The Tang family is wary of Divine Armament Hall. Even if they want to take action, they would not choose to stay in Nuling, Furious Waves, City. On the other hand, the second prince of the Shirin Empire whom they offended that day on the arena was more likely to be the one. Furthermore, Mo Yi and Sha Tu's relationship didn't seem to be very good, so the fact that she came here to warn him was more likely to be true. As he spoke till here, Tang Huan smiled again. Otherwise, we would be neither related nor relationship, and it would even cause her to lose face on the arena. Logically speaking, she shouldn't have come to remind me. You've humiliated her. How did you do that? Tell me. Hearing that, Shan Shan's interest was immediately piqued. That doesn't seem to be your concern right now, does it? Tang Huan was in a daze. Chapter 71. The night was as dark as water. Tang Huan was dressed in black. He sat cross-legged and looked like an even more ancient statue. His body was motionless, and the 2-meter-long scarlet flame spear was placed on his legs. The distance between him and the smithy was only about 10 meters, while Shan Shan and Little One were hiding even further in the dense forest. Since he had received the news, Tang Huan would naturally not wait for them inside the shop to kill him. If these people were all level 4 martial masters, Tang Huan would still be interested in showing up and playing with them, while trying out the flaming rainbow spear art and the newly forged middle-ranked weapon Scarlet Flame Spear. However, if these people were all level 5 martial masters, Tang Huan would not be so foolish as to run out and find trouble with them. Tang Huan continued to circulate the great art of the heavens and earth, his inside the Danshan and spirit wheels spinning at lightning speeds, the true chi flowing through his 9 great spirit veins, his senses raised to the limit, and within a radius of dozens of meters, even the slightest movement could not be hidden from her ears. Unknowingly, it was already late at night. Rustle, rustle. A series of light footsteps suddenly entered his ears. When they arrived at the wall of the courtyard, the footsteps suddenly stopped. Then, a soft mutter could be heard. I didn't expect the 2 of us to arrive here first. Everyone, let's split up and move out on different routes. Naturally, there's always a way out. Let's just wait here for a while. We can act when everyone's here. That guy is also a rank 4 martial master. We have to be careful. If he manages to escape, His Highness will not let us off easily. Ha ha, old brother, you are too cowardly. We have 5 martial masters, and Captain Wu Yan is a grade 5 martial master. I am afraid we won't be able to kill him. That's true. If so many of us can't handle that little guy, we can just find a rock and smash him to death. Sitting at the base of the wall were 2 men in black, both of whom looked rather relaxed. They did not pay much attention to this mission. 5 level 4 martial grandmasters and 1 level 5 martial master could deal with a 16-17-year-old level 4 martial master and low-level weapons craftsman easily. I wonder what that woman looks like. If it's a normal situation, then there's no need to trouble your majesty to bring them back. Us brothers will do it on your behalf. He. I have to ask Captain Wu Yin about this. If he agrees, unfortunately, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to ask." At this moment, a cold voice abruptly entered his ears. The two men in black were shocked. In a split second, they saw a blinding red light with a scorching hot aura whizzing over. The speed was so fast that it was like lightning, and in just a split second, it had arrived in front of them. "Get out of the way." The two of them didn't hesitate at all and immediately pounced in the opposite direction. Then, they both drew out their swords. Love, 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 love. Kai. In an instant, the red light didn't slow down in the slightest and immediately shot towards one of the black-clothed men like a shadow following its body. The man was scared out of his wits. He waved his right arm slightly, and the black longsword in his hand swung out. PFFT. However, the dazzling red light was just like a snake as it wiggled for a moment. It actually bypassed the black longsword and almost brushed past the sharp blade. Then, it landed at the black-clothed man's throat with lightning speed and the fiery energy immediately exploded. Before the man in black could even make a sound, his body froze on the spot. His round eyes still contained an incredulous expression, and his throat was pierced by a fiery red spear. Black smoke was still sizzling from the wound, and a scorching stench immediately filled the air. The owner of the spear was also wearing a tight black robe and had a slender body. This man was Tang Huan. Tang Huan didn't pause at all when he stabbed at the black-clothed man. With a flick of his right hand, the tip of the spear that was as red as fire was pulled out from his throat. At almost the same time he turned his body, the long spear also reversed and pierced backwards without even looking. It was like a fire dragon had left its hole with frightening power. Liu Guang, the other man in black, couldn't help but scream in horror when he saw his companion killed so easily. But before he finished speaking, he discovered that the fiery red spear point had already reached his chest. Shocked, he immediately stepped back to the side, barely dodging it. The long blade in his hand was wrapped in a dark black light as he swung it towards the spear shaft at the fastest speed possible. Ding! The sound of metal clashing rang out. The black-clothed man only felt a terrifying surge of power. His entire arm had become numb, and his black long blade had been bounced up a foot high. You! The black-clothed man could not believe his eyes. He had already guessed that the person in front of him was the Tang Huan that he wanted to kill this time, but didn't His Highness say that this person was only a level 4 martial master? He was also a rank 4 martial master, so why was his true chi so strong? Was it just because he was a weapons craftsman? Ho! Tang Huan sneered. The long spear in his hand released a long bow and shot forward. Like a divine dragon swinging its tail, it directly swept towards the black-clothed man's stomach. The scorching chi emitted from the spear body, as though it had congealed into a violent wave of heat, pressuring over, causing an intense whistling sound. The black-clothed man never expected that Tang Huan's attack would be so powerful. His face instantly turned pale and his body sank down as one hand held onto the hilt of his blade while the other held onto the body of the blade, blocking the attack. Bam! In the blink of an eye, the spear and blade collided. In the midst of the violent impact, the long spear pressed down on the saber's body and ruthlessly struck the chest of the man in black. In the next moment, the man in black was sent flying a dozen meters away before he landed heavily on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. A sharp killing intent flashed across his eyes. In a few steps, he had already leaped over. Save! The black-clothed man was scared witless when he saw this. He was about to open his mouth to scream, but before he could even finish speaking the first note, his voice suddenly stopped. It was Tang Huan's dark red, burning spear tip moving like lightning towards and out of his throat, leaving a pitch-black hole. Whoosh! Tang Huan heaved a sigh of relief, and quickly threw the two corpses into the bushes in the distance. Just as he was about to hide, Tang Huan realized that there were two figures flying around in the distance. They were flying over quickly, and it seemed like there were another two people behind them. Tang Huan's heart moved. He immediately bent down and picked up the long sword, and then, The second man fell down, his body pressing down on the sword and spear shaft, the spear tip piercing into the soil, his hand holding onto the man's blade. He laid down, and did not move at all. His figure was about the same as that person's. Furthermore, they were both wearing similar black clothes. Furthermore, they were also covered by some grass. At a glance, they did indeed look very similar. Of course, if one were to observe carefully, he would still be able to discover the flaw. What Tang Huan wanted to bet on now was a gamble. Chapter 72. Whoosh, whiz. Not long later, the two figures in front of him arrived at the wall. One of them was tall and thin while the other was of medium height. Both of them were dressed in black. Previous chapter. Table of contents. This is bad. They have already made their move. Seeing the marks on the ground, the medium-built man in black started to look around with a gloomy face. In the blink of an eye, the lanky man seemed to have discovered something. He sniffed and quickly walked to the front. Moments later, a black figure and a black blade entered his field of vision, and the tall, skinny man couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Luo Shan. He subconsciously took a few steps forward and crouched down beside the black figure. Then, he grabbed onto the black figure's shoulder and flipped it over. This is bad. What entered his vision was an unfamiliar young face. The lanky man's expression changed. Just as he was about to retreat, the black shadow had already flipped over and slashed at his neck. The blade was sharp and the lanky man could no longer evade it. He gritted his teeth and used his left arm to block it. Ooh! Half of his arm was chopped off. The tall, skinny man let out a miserable scream, but borrowing the force of this moment to block, his body was sent tumbling back a meter or two. But just as he was about to endure the pain and draw out the sword at his waist, ready to jump up, a red light chased him and pierced through his chest. Fu Chang. Seeing this scene, not only was it the black-clothed man a few meters away, the other two who were already 20 to 30 meters away were also shocked. A tall man shouted out, "Tang Huan, he is Tang Huan." "That's right, I am Tang Huan." Tang Huan laughed, and threw away the black blade in his hand. His arm moved and the spear left the tall and skinny man's chest, thrusting towards the black-clothed man. The sharp tip of the spear was like a red stream of light. The scorching heat had already enveloped a few meters of space in front of him. What he was using now was the flaming rainbow spear art. It was worthy of being one of the top 5 powerful spear skills in the Honor Continent. Tang Huan had only learned the first form of the technique, Prairie. Although there was only a single stance, it fully incorporated the various uses of the spear into it, including piercing, sweeping, entangling, twirling, pushing, tapping, and so on. It could be said that it was extremely marvelous and ever-changing. Tang Huan, die! The black-clothed man roared, and 2 golden lights flashed from his waist. They were actually 2 short axes shining with a golden light. The moment his voice rang out, the dual axes had already blocked the incoming electrical spearhead. However, the roaring heat from the spearhead burned his skin to the point that it seemed as if it would burst open. The surging true energy from the spearhead forced him to take 2 steps back. The man's expression changed. Both of his arms suddenly exerted force, pressing down on the spearhead. The dual axes in his hands quickly slid on the spear shaft, and his body rushed towards Tang Huan like a cannonball. Buzz! Tang Huan scoffed. The spear shaft shook. A violent burst of innate chi erupted. The spear not only broke free from the control of the 2 axes, but it also smashed towards his shoulder with the force of a thunderbolt. Previous chapter. Table of contents. The black-clothed man's heart sank. He had used all of his strength, yet he was still unable to control Tang Huan's spear. However, the current situation did not allow for him to think any further. The pair of axes brought out 2 golden streaks as they pierced towards the top of his head. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Boom! In a split second, the fire-red long spear smashed onto the pair of axes. With an ear-piercing sound, the black-clothed man's arms went numb, and the 2 axes immediately fell off his hands. However, the long spear didn't use any strength, and still smashed into his shoulders with overwhelming force. Crack! The sound of bones breaking could be heard, and immediately after, the black-clothed man fell to the ground, spitting out blood. his body twitching. His left shoulder and left chest had completely collapsed from the powerful and heavy strike. Evidently, he was dead. The fourth, Tang Huan's eyes turned cold as he looked at the last two black-clothed men. One of them was tall and sturdy, about 30 years old, while the other was very muscular, but he looked even younger, about 24 or 25 years old. Under the moonlight, their faces were filled with unconcealable shock. They were not too far away from the other two, but the incident just now had happened too suddenly. From the moment Fu Chang had been killed to the moment another person had been killed by a spear, it had seemed like a long time ago, but in reality, it had only been a few breaths of time. It seems like not only Fu Chang and Li Yu were killed by you, even Liu Guang and Luo Shan who arrived first were killed by you. The tall man took a deep breath as his face darkened. Killing intent filled his eyes. I thought you were just an ordinary martial master, but I didn't expect you to actually possess the strength of a grade 4 martial master. I have underestimated you. However, with me here, you still won't be able to escape death today. You're their captain, Wu Yin. Tang Huan squinted his eyes and sized up the tall man. With fighting spirit in his heart, he said, I had wanted to fight with a rank 5 martial master for a long time. Today is the perfect day to do so. Right after he finished speaking, Tang Huan laughed out loud, and leaped up, his spear shooting out like a rainbow piercing the sun, striking straight towards Wu Yin. Ho! Wu Yin snorted coldly. With a flick of his wrist, a huge black blade almost as tall as his body appeared from behind him. The 1-foot-wide blade drew a huge black beam in the air and struck the spear shaft at an oblique angle. Ding! The fiery red spear bent and twisted, swinging towards the left, and the twisting spear body was even more so, forcefully pulling Tang Huan's body and moving it a few meters in the air. But just at that moment, a sinister smile appeared between Tang Huan's brows. His wrist sank as the spear immediately became straight, and shot towards the young man at the side. Big brother, save me. The young man never expected that Tang Huan would suddenly attack him, and immediately panicked and quickly retreated. However, the speed of his retreat obviously could not keep up with the speed of the long spear as it traveled through the air. Almost at the same instant his words left his mouth, the extremely sharp tip of the spear had already arrived at his chest. Tang Huan, stop! Wu Yin was shocked. He screamed out involuntarily, and the black gigantic blade in his mouth swept towards Tang Huan like a gale wind. PFFT! Tang Huan's eyes turned cold, and his right arm loosened its grip without any hesitation. The moment his feet touched the ground, the tip of the spear had already pierced through the young man's chest. The young man released a string of difficult notes. His eyes were wide open, and his eyes were filled with despair. But before he could finish speaking, his body was lifted up by the fire-red long spear, and was sent flying towards the huge black blade. When Wu Yin saw this, he tilted his saber and cleaved down onto the ground with a loud bang. The mud and sand tumbled to the two sides like a tidal wave. A long and narrow hole instantly appeared on the ground. Plop! The young man was immediately thrown out of the spearhead and fell to the ground. He didn't even move an inch. An obvious hole could be seen on his back that had been burnt through. Chapter 73. Wu Yin, let's fight without the eyesore. Go to my room and tell me. Acux.com. Tang Huan smiled lightly. Before he could even take out his weapon, he had already been killed. Moreover, he had also noticed that the relationship between Wu Yin and the young man should not be ordinary. But so what? Since they were here to kill, they should have the awareness of being killed. While speaking, the spear in Tang Huan's hand was pointed at Wu Yin. The body of the spear exploded with a brilliant red light, the spear tip trembling slightly. It was extremely warm. Little you, Tang Huan, you actually dared to kill my younger brother. Today, I will make sure that you will beg for your life, beg for your death, and the woman in your shop to die little by little in front of you. Roar! Like an injured beast, Wu Yin released a mournful roar. He took a few steps forward and rushed towards Tang Huan. The black gigantic blade in his hand slashed across the void. The extremely violent strength chi shot out from the blade's body and poured towards Tang Huan like mercury. Wang! Tang Huan held on to his spear with both hands, His wrist suddenly sank, the spear body immediately releasing an extremely loud sound. The sharp spear tip pierced through the void, and directly struck out. Ding! In a split second, the spear tip and the blade edge actually clashed against each other, and a sharp ear-piercing sound burst out for a split second, as two vigorous true energy gushed out from the weapon, frantically attacking, and violent strength chi spread out from the point of collision. This time, they collided head-on and both Tang Huan and Wu Yin were forced 5 steps back as if they had suffered a heavy blow. But right after, the two of them did not stop. As soon as they stabilized their bodies, they brandished their weapons and rushed towards each other at the same time. Tang Huan swung his spear like a dragon, spear after spear, towards Wu Yin's head again. He was as fast as lightning, continuous and unstoppable, while the gigantic blade in Wu Yin's hand chopped out continuously with a terrifying speed. Ding, 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 a clear and intense metallic clanging sound reverberated in the night sky in an unusually dense manner. Both of them displayed their attacks to their maximum speed. In just a few breaths of time, Tang Huan had already thrusted the scarlet flame spear in his hand tens of times, and Wu Yin had also slashed several dozen times in the same short amount of time. From afar, one could see a fiery red long arc and a black waterfall violently colliding with each other at a speed that was difficult to be seen with the naked eye. Good, good. This is interesting. Tang Huan felt hot blood flowing through his entire body, and he started to laugh maniacally. With a kai sound, the speed of the spear gradually increased. One spear was faster than one spear, and the power that erupted was stronger than one spear. As afterimages began to appear in the air, Tang Huan's violent strikes brought about a lot of pressure, which made Wu Yin calm down. At this time, he finally realized how inaccurate Second Prince Shatu's judgment was towards Tang Huan's strength. Tang Huan was indeed only a 4th martial master. The collision of true energy made him realize that the other party had only condensed a first-level spirit wheel. But the other party's true energy was exceptionally violent. The speed at which he used his true energy was even faster, and he was not at a disadvantage compared to a 5th martial master. Previous chapter, Table of Contents. No wonder Liu Guang, Luo Shan, and Fu Cheng, who were rank 4 martial masters, died so easily. If his younger brother Wu Yu hadn't died, he might have been able to escape with his younger brother. But now, even if he had to risk being injured, he still wanted to kill him. Ding ding ding. Wu Yin's blade didn't slow down in the slightest. In the blink of an eye, the sword and spear fiercely collided more than 10 times. He immediately realized that Tang Huan's spear's speed was still increasing, but his speed had reached its limit. If this continued, his head would be pierced through sooner or later. This discovery made Wu Yin's face darken. Ding! The moment the swords and spears collided again, Wu Yin suddenly borrowed the force of the collision to float back several meters. However, just as his feet landed on the ground, he stomped hard on the ground and shot forward again. Whirlwind! A thunderous roar came from Wu Yin's mouth. Suddenly, the huge saber in his hand flew through the air in a strange trajectory. The next moment, his body was covered by a pitch-black shadow of the saber. Tang Huan only felt a terrifying aura pressing down on him as countless gigantic black blades danced within the black storm, as if they could cut any obstacle in front of them into countless pieces. With focused eyes, Tang Huan stepped back while holding on to the fire-red long spear. So that's how it is. After consecutively retreating over 10 steps, the corner of Tang Huan's mouth raised into a sneer. Then, he shook the crimson flame spear, suddenly turning into a curved arc and piercing into the black tornado from the side. After a ding sound, the tempest dissipated like a punctured bubble. Wu Yin, who was holding onto a black broadsword, appeared once again. The tip of the spear landed on the broadened blade. Wu Yin reacted quickly and took advantage of the momentum to dodge the spear. You can actually see the flaws in my blade technique. The moment he stabilized his feet, Wu Yin pointed his long saber up into the sky. He bent his body and gasped for breath, like a tiger ready to pounce on its prey. However, his face showed an unconcealable expression of surprise. Wu Yin, just now, It was just an appetizer. It's about time for some stimulants. Tang Huan did not reply, but chuckled, and between his mind instructs, in a second, the abnormally strong power of true fire fused into his true chi and flowed into the long spear. In an instant, an even more violent red glow burst out from the spear's body, and it seemed as if it had completely enveloped the wisps of light. At almost the same time, an incomparably boundless heat also quickly spread out from the spear's body, instantly forming an incomparably terrifying wave of heat that seemed to burn even the air. Wu Yian's face changed. He thought that Tang Huan had used his power of the true fire earlier, but it took him a while to do so. At this moment, even though he was a few meters away, his skin felt a burning sensation. This sudden change made him feel somewhat panicked for the first time. He hadn't even used the power of the true fire and yet he was already so formidable. How could he be so impressive after using the power of the true fire? Look at the spear. Just as his mind was shaken, Tang Huan had already let out a loud laugh as the long spear in his hand whizzed over with the power to sweep away an army of 1,000. Wu Yian acted like he just woke up from a dream and quickly waved the huge blade in his hand to block the incoming attack. With a bang, he was actually pushed back several steps along with his saber. His clothes and hair were swept away by the fierce heat wave, immediately emitting a burned smell. His exposed skin turned completely red. Just as he regained his footing, another spear came crashing down from the sky. Bang! Tang Huan swept, hacked, stabbed. After Wu Yian was defeated in one strike, he fell into a disadvantageous position step by step. He was in an extremely sorry state. The heat wave that came from the spear not only caused his clothes to wrinkle, but also burned off his hair and eyebrows. Wu Yian was extremely shocked. Although he thought that Tang Huan, a fourth martial master, had the ability to fight against a fifth martial master, he did not think that he would be defeated. But after a short while, his opponent had already gained the upper hand, especially since the heat emitted from his opponent's spear. It was almost unbearable for him. Wu Yian immediately felt the urge to retreat. Only by keeping his life, he would have the chance to avenge his younger brother. It's almost time to end it. But right at this moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded in his ears, and immediately after, he noticed that the spear in front of him began to tremble violently. But right at this moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded in his ears, and immediately after, he noticed that the spear in front of him began to tremble intensely. An incomparably violent and terrifying aura rushed over along with the prairie fire. Wu Yian was extremely frightened. He could actually feel an aura of death from the dark red aura in front of him. With a loud roar, the huge blade in Wu Yian's hand slashed out crazily, and an incomparably sharp black light cut into the red light like a waterfall. In the next moment, he watched helplessly as that black light was devoured by the red light, and then his entire body was covered by that dazzling red light. Then, Wu Yian felt as if his entire body was being torn apart. In a trance, two characters seemed to explode in his ears: Prairie Flames. Chapter 74, 5 Grade 4 Martial Masters and a Grade 5 Martial Master. I didn't expect them to all be taken care of so quickly. A few hundred meters away on a small mound, a white-haired old man sat cross-legged on the ground. His two eyes looked through the gaps between the grass, sizing up the figure that was clearing up the mess under the moonlight, and his eyes suddenly became as cold as a poisonous snake. Since you refuse to acknowledge me as your ancestor, you will become a thorn in the side of the Tang clan, especially the lady. Huh? Just as the old man was about to move, he suddenly let out a surprised cry, and a black shadow appeared in the distance. It was obvious that it was a young woman, but the one that surprised him was not her, but the little blue figure sitting on her shoulder. Yeah. A faint sound could be heard as the little blue beast gestured with its two little claws. Could it be a spirit beast? The old man's eyes lit up as he let out a surprised cry, his eyes burning with passion. I didn't think that I would be able to meet a spirit beast during tonight's activities. Indeed, the heavens are helping this old man. Since that's the case, then let's kill both of them. As soon as he finished, the old man stood up. However, just as he stepped forward, a cheerful voice rang in his ears. Old man, You're so old already. You should be raising flowers and all sorts of vegetables. Why do you need to crawl into the wilderness at night to fight and kill? If we die here, we won't even have a body to retrieve." Who? He was about to turn around when he discovered two arms reaching out from behind and grabbing his entire body. Those two arms were quite fat, and one of the fat hands was even pressing onto his lower abdomen. His Danshan. Love, 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 love. Terrifying true energy surged within that chubby hand, causing the old man to be incomparably frightened and not dare to move an inch. Sigh. What a pity. A sigh entered the old man's ears. If you hadn't seen that spirit beast, you might have been able to live. But now, you're really going to throw away your corpse in the wilderness. You, who exactly are you? The old man was even more shocked when he heard this. He was a 6th martial master, and not only was he being approached by the person behind him, he was even being suppressed before he had made a move. That person could very well be a 7th martial grandmaster, or even a 8th martial sect. If you're going to die, then there's no need to know so much. The voice sounded again, and the old man immediately felt a faint killing intent. His heart immediately skipped a beat, and his palms that were filled with zenshi suddenly went under his arms and shot backwards like lightning. They actually hit their target right away. After succeeding with the first strike, the old man's heart was filled with joy, but soon after, despair filled his heart. Love, 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 love. He felt as if his palms were pressing down on a ball of soft cotton. His true chi was like a clay ox entering the sea, and did not stir up the slightest bit of ripples. In a split second, he knew that he was completely finished. Indeed, the terrifying power in that palm immediately rushed into his Danshan, causing the triple spirit wheel inside to shatter instantly. True energy uncontrollably scattered throughout his body, and in an instant, it had completely destroyed his internal organs. Ugh! The old man's head tilted to the side, and his life was snuffed out. Is there danger over there? Outside the walls of the blacksmith shop, Tang Huan quickly understood what little one meant. Is it accurate? Tang Huan had some suspicions. If it was a beast type, little one would quickly discover it. But if it was a martial warrior's, it would be hard to say. Yeah, little one nodded his head. Shan, you stay here. I'll go take a look. Tang Huan muttered to himself, and immediately followed little one's guidance. Behind him, Shan's expression changed, but very quickly, the corner of her lips hooked up into a faint smile. In just a moment, Tang Huan had rushed up a small hill, but he did not realize anything. Even a small patch of grass that was half the height of a man had already fallen to the ground. Tang Huan was secretly shocked, his eyes immediately sweeping across the place. Although the surroundings were empty, little one felt that it was not wrong. There was indeed someone hiding here just now, but right now, that person should have already left. Was that person an enemy or a friend? Yeah? Little one scratched his head and blinked his dark blue eyes in confusion. Since we haven't seen him yet, let's head back. Tang Huan kept the doubts in his heart and smilingly tapped on little one's head. Yeah. Little one drooped his head, feeling very depressed. Not long after Tang Huan left, on a lush tree tens of meters away from the mound, a fat figure slid down, holding a body. He muttered in surprise, "This little thing's reaction to killing intent is not bad. It can sense danger even from so far away. And that little girl, I wonder where she came from. There are actually 2 martial grandmasters hiding there to protect her." South of Nuling, Furious Waves City, in a dense forest beside the main road. How long has it been? Why hasn't Wu Yin and the others gathered here yet? Sha Tu sat on the ground, his eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Then, he waited quietly at this place, all the way until late at night. The appointed time had already passed, but Wu Yin and the others were still not around. Perhaps something has delayed you, Your Highness. Be patient. On the opposite side, A black costume old man around the age of 50 heard this and quickly advised, "What will happen tonight?" Shatu's expression was dark as he said in a deep voice, "They couldn't have failed and aren't daring to come back to see this king, right? Absolutely impossible." The black costume old man shook his head and laughed. "Their relatives are all in the Sand Empire. Even if they failed, they wouldn't dare not to come back. Moreover, there is no possibility of failure when dealing with a rank 4 martial master with only a rank 5 martial master and 5 grade 4 martial masters. Let's wait a little longer. They will probably be back soon. Sha Wen, you go take a look." Shatu looked at the direction of the Nuling, Furious Waves, city with a frown and immediately gave his order. "If I leave, then your highness." The black costume old man looked around hesitantly. There was only a rank 5 martial master and a dozen rank 4 martial masters around him. "Don't worry, at this time, who would dare to make a move against this king?" Shatu snorted coldly. "Yes, I will go now." Black costume old man nodded and immediately flew out. Not long later, his figure had already merged with the darkness. A moment later, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He opened his eyes abruptly and quickly scanned his surroundings, only to see that all the dozen of martial masters on guard were lying on the ground without the slightest movement. "Who is it?" Shatu was startled, and all the hairs on his body stood on end. "Shatu, we meet again." An indifferent voice sounded, and an elegant yellow figure suddenly walked out from the darkness gracefully. "This might be the last time we meet." "It's you." Chapter 75. The next morning, the atmosphere in the main hall of the Tanklands meeting room was extremely heavy. In the center of the hall, the corpse of an old man lay quietly on the ground. His face was deathly pale and his eyes were wide open. Fear still remained on his aged face. Tang Tianfeng squatted beside the corpse and used both of his hands to scan his body, while Tang Tanren, Tang Tianqi, Tang Tianda and the rest surrounded him. The faces of everyone present turned abnormally unsightly. The person lying on the ground was called Lin Hu, and he was called Uncle Lin by the Tank clan. He was Mai Xin's servant when she married into the clan. Although he was a servant, his strength was not to be underestimated. Many years ago, he had already become a rank 6 martial master, but today, he was found dead outside the archway of the Tank clan's residence. His body was stiff, and there were no injuries on his body. This matter immediately alarmed the entire Tank clan. A 6th martial master could already be considered an expert in the Nuling, Furious Waves, city. However, he was still silently beheaded outside the clan. After his Danshan was shattered, he lost control of his true chi and his internal organs suffered a severe backlash. That was why he died. Tang Tianfeng stood up and said in a deep voice, "There are no injuries on his body, which shows that his Danshan was easily shattered. The person who attacked him should be much stronger than him, at least a 7th step martial grandmaster or even a martial sect of the 8th step. It was a pity that he didn't know where he had died. Otherwise, he might have been able to find even more traces." "Elder brother, perhaps you can ask sister-in-law about this." Uncle Lin. Before Tang Tan could finish his words, he was cut off by a sharp scream. A beautiful woman with a slim figure rushed into the hall. Looking at the unmoving corpse on the ground, her beautiful face lost all its color. She was completely dumbfounded. This beautiful lady was indeed the one who had come after hearing the news. Mai Xin. Lin, who had always been by Mai Xin's side, and had always maintained a nonchalant relationship with her. Not to mention within the family, even in the entire Nuling, Furious Waves, city, there were no enemies. The death of Uncle Lin was probably not the result of the enemies seeking revenge. "Madam." Tang Tanren looked at Mai Xin. His low voice seemed to contain a tinge of anger. "Do you have something to say?" I. Mai Xin snapped out of her daze, a trace of panic flashing across her face. She stammered for a while, but finally gritted her teeth and said, "Last night, Uncle Lin went to the north side of the city." "North of the city? Isn't that just?" Tang Tan was the first to react as he exclaimed in shock. He did not finish his sentence, but the meaning behind his words were understood by everyone in the hall. Tang Huan's blacksmith shop was located at the north side of the city. No one thought that Mai Xin would be so daring as to send Uncle Lin to fight at Nuling. Furious Waves, City. Madam, aren't you a little too daring? Aren't you afraid that the entire Tang clan will fall into a perilous situation because of you? Tang Tanren's face was ashen as he roared out. I thought there wouldn't be any mistakes. Mai Xin's face was pale as she gritted her teeth and said, these 2 days, Uncle Lin has been observing the movements of the second prince of the Shirin Empire. He even revealed the location of Huan Hui to them. I told Uncle Lin that if Shachu sent someone to do it, he would go and take a look. If they succeeded, then forget it. If they failed, then Uncle Lin could also help. Afterwards, he could completely blame it on Shatu, but he didn't think that Uncle Lin would. Everyone looked at each other. According to Mai Xin, last night was indeed a godsend opportunity. However, they didn't expect that not only had Uncle Lin been killed, but his corpse had also been thrown back. Could it be that Divine Armament Hall was prepared for this? Tang Dancy was bewildered. Perhaps it is not the Divine Armament Hall. If it was really Uncle Lin who was killed by the Divine Armament Hall, then he would not have just thrown the corpse out. Instead, he would have come to the sect to denounce them. Tang Tan shook his head. If it wasn't the Divine Armament Hall, then who else would have done it? Could it be that there's someone by Tang Huan's side protecting him? Tang Danshai frowned. Second brother, immediately arrange some people to see if Rascal is still alive. Tang Tanren took a deep breath, his expression unsettled. Alright, I'll go now. Second floor of Divine Armament Hall. King Yi was dressed in a green dress as he gracefully walked down the stairs. His soft chest was trembling, his slender waist was swaying, and under his perky and curvy bottom, his 2 slender and straight jade legs were swaying gently. Just like that, he gracefully walked over and lightly sat on the praying mat. Tang Huan, if you don't come, I will send someone to look for you soon. Looking at Tang Huan, who had long since sat on the opposite side, King Yi's beautiful eyes narrowed into the shape of a crescent moon. That charming face revealed a faint smile. She seemed to have just woken up. There was a hint of laziness between her brows, making her seem even more intoxicating. Seeing her flirtatious attitude, Tang Huan's eyes moved slightly, but he immediately calmed himself down. He laughed in surprise. Pavilion Master, why is that? His purpose for coming to the Divine Armament Hall this time was actually very simple. He wanted to change the low-rank blacksmith's emblem into that of a middle-rank blacksmith. However, what he did not expect was that the first thing King Yi said upon seeing him was actually this. Tang Huan, do you know that this morning, the Tang clan master's wife, the follower called Lin Hu, was killed, and her corpse was left outside the Tang clan's ancestral hall? King Yi smiled calmly. Lin Hu? Tang Huan frowned, and immediately realized that Lin Hu is the Uncle Lin that Tang Hong and the rest had mentioned, the most loyal person to the evil woman. He was actually killed. In a blink of an eye, the traces that Tang Huan found on the mound last night flashed across his mind. Do you know that the second prince of the Shirin Empire, Sha Tu, and his 10 or so followers were all killed outside the southern part of the city last night? 6 people went missing. King Yi smiled again. What? Sha Tu is dead? Tang Huan's heart skipped a beat. He was truly shocked. Only 6 people had gone missing, and he had just killed 6 people, including Wu Yan. This meant that Sha Tu and his men had all been killed, and not a single one had left. Do you know that there are already rumors in the Nuling, Furious Waves, city that you killed Sha Tu and his followers? King Yi spoke again. Are you joking? I was at home last night. Hearing her words, Tang Huan was stunned at first, but soon after, he could not help but burst out laughing. Furthermore, I am only a small 4th-rank martial master. Not to mention that by Sha Tu's side, there might even be a 6th-rank martial master, let alone a 5th-rank martial master. You're right. I also believe you didn't do it. King Yi nodded with a smile. However, others won't think this way. I'm afraid that the Emperor of the Shirin Empire won't think this way either. After all, you and Shachu had a conflict during the artifact forging assembly. Moreover, There were rumors in the city that the 6 people who went missing were killed by you because they tried to kill you. After you killed them, you went outside the southern part of the city in a fit of rage and killed off Shatu and the others. Chapter 76. Would the Emperor of the Sand Empire believe such nonsense? Unless he's an idiot. Hearing this, Tang Huan started laughing. Of course he wouldn't believe it. King Yi smiled. So, there is another rumor in the city that you are from a powerful family. The reason you are staying in that small blacksmith shop in the north of Nuling, Furious Waves, city is just to gain experience. However, even if it's just training, there will still be experts protecting you from the shadows. You can't kill Shatu and the others, but you can protect your masters in the dark. That's a good story. I hope it's true. Tang Huan laughed self-deprecatingly, but he became cautious in his heart. If it was only the rumor from before, he wouldn't have cared, but if he added this on, the damage would be extremely great. Tang Huan was very clear on the principle of falsifying the truth, destroying one's bones. Tang Huan, your performance during this period is just too outstanding. King Yi stopped smiling, and his expression became serious. To use the metal attribute of the 5 elements to ignite a 12-meter-long totem flame. Let's not talk about that. After all, it belongs to the category of innate talents. But after successfully fusing with the true fire, it has only been a short 2 months since you possessed such a profound ability to refine weapons, and even obtained the championship in the weapon refining competition in one go. And your true fire has even risen to a level comparable to that of a high-level weapons craftsman. This is difficult to explain. Refining a weapon isn't something that can be done with just your perception. You also need a large amount of resources to support it. If you were to say that you don't have any powerful forces backing you, not many people would believe you. And after the end of the competition, you rejected one after another from our Divine Armament Hall and the Great Tang Imperial family, which seems to be the proof of this. If the tree is in the forest, the wind shall destroy it. Tang Huan sighed softly. Tang Huan, is there anything you want to say? King Yi stood up straight, her beautiful eyes fixed on Tang Huan, expectation in her eyes. Yes. Tang Huan pondered for a bit, then nodded lightly. King Yi's eyes lit up, and a smile suddenly surfaced on her beautiful face. She then heard Tang Huan ask in all seriousness, Greenleaf Pavilion Mistress, can we begin the middle stage refiner's assessment? Assessment? Do you still have the mood to take the examination now? Tang Huan, do you know that you are currently in an extremely dangerous situation? Once the news of Shatu's death reaches the kingdom of Sharon, a large number of experts will immediately rush over from the capital to deal with you. Even if you hide in the origin continent, it would be useless. In the human allied forces, the commander of the Sharon Empire would directly send someone from the origin continent to take your life. No matter how dangerous it is, I'll have to pass the mid-tier blacksmith master examination before I say anything. Tang Huan smiled slowly. As long as he agreed to go to the Heavenly Forging City, King Yi would probably immediately send someone to send him there, and recommend him to be the new disciple of the Divine Armament Hall's master. From then on, he would be considered to have truly joined the Divine Armament Hall, and would not just be an artificer recognized by the Divine Armament Hall. With this identity, even if the experts of the Kingdom of Sharon were to make a move, the Divine Armament Hall would definitely take care of it. Otherwise, even if he was promoted to a middle-stage blacksmith master, the Divine Armament Hall would only be able to guarantee that no one would try to kill him. However, the Divine Armament Hall did not care about the things that were happening in the shadows, because even if Tang Huan was killed, the Divine Armament Hall would not be able to make a move against the Empire. Tang Huan was grateful to King Yi's kindness, but he did not want to accept it. Yesterday he did not agree to Divine Armament Hall's recruitment, and from today onwards, he would not either. King Yi was angered to the point that his face turned green, his towering breasts rose and fell rapidly. Okay, I guess I'm just talking too much. Tang Huan, since you are so anxious to take the middle stage refiner's assessment, then follow me. With that, King Yi sprung up and walked down the stairs in a huff. A flash of apology appeared in Tang Huan's eyes. He helplessly scratched his head and laughed dryly as he followed along. When Tang Huan returned to the Divine Armament Hall, it was already noon. The low-rank blacksmith's badge on his body had also been changed to the middle-rank blacksmith's badge. For the current Tang Huan, the middle-rank blacksmith master examination was not too suspenseful. The entire process was accomplished in a natural manner and was rather easy. Along the way, Tang Huan discovered quite a few sneaky figures. On the way, some of the martial warriors he met on the way recognized him and their expressions became extremely strange. There was even a fellow who approached him and advised him to quickly leave the Nuling, Furious Waves, city to temporarily hide in the Heavenly Forging City and God Down City. Tang Huan understood in his heart that those rumors should have already been spread widely in Nuling, Furious Waves, city. There seemed to be an invisible hand in the darkness. It stirred the waves and stirred the rain. Tang Huan felt that a storm was brewing. After approximately an hour, Tang Huan and Shan Shan sat facing each other in the smithy. On the other hand, Little One jumped around the shop with his round belly. Sometimes he struggled to jump onto the metal table, sometimes he clumsily slipped onto the weapon rack, sometimes he would swing in front of Tang Huan a few times. Tang Huan, why are you looking at me like that? Shan Shan could not help but ask. Tang Huan looked at her and felt goosebumps all over her body. Ever since Tang Huan returned from the Divine Armament Hall, she had become extremely strange. She first sat inside the shop for 3.5 minutes without moving, as though she was a statue. She couldn't help but go out to find someone to come over to check on Tang Huan. After much difficulty, Tang Huan finally managed to make a move, but he pulled her to sit in front of him, and then looked at her without saying a word. Shan Shan, I've saved you 3 times since you arrived from the Maze Realm, right? Tang Huan sized Shan Shan up from head to toe for a moment, and then said with a smile, no, that's right. Shan Shan's tender and white face immediately flushed red. He had saved her 3 times, and both times had actually occurred in such an awkward situation. After that, whenever she thought about it, she would feel embarrassed, angry and helpless. However, why would this fellow mention this all of the sudden? Didn't you always want to repay a debt of gratitude? Tang Huan laughed again, and said, now that the chance has come, if you really want to repay this favor, then, you don't even think about it. Shan Shan seemed to have thought of something, as her beautiful eyes glared at Tang Huan. Her beautiful face was as red as fire, alluring to the point of being tender, as though a gentle pinch would cause juice to leak out. Tang Huan, I never thought that you would actually be such a person. Still, Tang Huan was startled, and when he saw her expression, he could not help but not know whether to laugh or cry. Why do you have to have such a huge reaction? I only wanted you to help me find a person's residence. Investigate who? Shan Shan realized that she was wrong and could not help but feel embarrassed. She asked subconsciously, but then she came back to her senses. Tang Huan, you found the wrong person. I can't help you with this help. I'm just alone. I don't know where to go and find this for you. Tang Huan's eyes flashed with a playful smile. At the intersection in front of the shop, an old man and an old woman were moved here 20 days ago. About 100 meters away from the intersection, the breakfast shop seemed to have changed its owner at that time. Do you still need me to continue? You already know about it. Shan Shan's expression changed slightly as surprise filled his eyes. Don't forget, I've lived in this place for 16 years. I know every single blade of grass and every tree in this small area like the back of my hand. Tang Huan laughed. Who do you want to find out? Shan Shan remained silent for a moment, before she finally bit her lips and said, the Grand Princess of the Moyan Empire, Mo Yi. Tang Huan said these words with a smile, but a cold light flashed deep within his eyes. Chapter 77. In the evening, the setting sun looked like blood. In the west side of Nuling, Furious Waves, city, in a quiet and elegant courtyard. Mo Dan, how's the commotion outside? Mo Yi sat by the stone table in the courtyard, her red hair draped over her shoulders, her jade eyes beaming, her white and delicate hands holding on to a teacup. gently sipping on it, before raising her eyes to look at the figure who had just entered. It was a middle-aged woman with similar red hair and green eyes. Although she was about 40 years old, she still retained her charm. Hearing Mo Yi's words, the middle-aged woman called Mo Dan said with a smile, "Everything was as your highness had expected." With his physique that belongs to the 5 elements of gold, it's rare to see able to activate a 12-meter-long totem flame. The current honor continent, even the person from Heavenly Forging City might not be able to compare to him. Not only that, his comprehension in tools method might even be higher than that of the Heavenly Forging Cities. You should know that even that person would not be able to raise his artifact forging ability to such an extent in such a short amount of time. Mo Yi parted her red lips slightly and spoke in a clear voice. "Indeed, I've just merged with my true fire, and I've already become a low-ranked weapons craftsman. It's only been 2 months, and I already have the strength of a mid-ranked weapons craftsman. This is the first time I've seen such a genius." Mo Dan smiled. It seems that the Heavenly Forging City used 4 months to advance from a low-level blacksmith to a mid-level blacksmith. What a pity. Mo Yi squinted and sighed softly. "Has your highness softened your heart?" Mordain smiled. "He's soft-hearted, but that's not necessary. He's just sighing with emotion. Such a peerlessly talented genius refiner. I'm afraid that he will soon be in a state of unending fear." Mo Yi's expression was indifferent, her eyebrows slightly raised. A direct descendant of a certain mysterious clan hid his identity and went out to gain experience. When he participated in the weapon refining competition, he had a conflict with the second prince of the Shirin Empire, Sha Tu. After that, the second prince, Sha Tu, felt indignant and sent Wu Yin and the other 2 men to exact vengeance on him. Unfortunately, not only were they killed, that person was completely enraged. He immediately dispatched experts to protect himself from the shadows and killed the second prince and the others outside the Nuling, Furious Waves, city. When the emperor of the Shirin Empire heard of the second prince's death, he flew into a rage and immediately gathered his experts, sneaking into the Nuling, Furious Waves, city, intending to kill the second prince. "What do you think of this story?" As she finished speaking, a faint smile emerged from the depths of Mo Yi's beautiful azure eyes. "Very good." Mo Dan laughed. "Sha Tu became a dead man, so his engagement to His Highness will naturally be annulled. His Highness will then be able to regain his freedom, and no longer need to worry about this matter. As for him," Mo Dan paused for a moment before smiling, "if he doesn't want to die, he can rely on the Divine Armament Hall or the Great Tang Imperial family to protect his life. If he doesn't leave these 2 paths, that would be courting death. A man who seeks his own death, even if he does die, deserves it. Besides, this person doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Even if there isn't such a thing happening in the future, he would still unavoidably die. Of course, the best outcome would be if that person were to rely on the Divine Armament Hall or the Great Tang Imperial family. Once the Shirin Empire comes into conflict with the Divine Armament Hall or the Great Tang Imperial family, with the character of our emperor, he would never let go of this opportunity. If Moyan were to go to war with Shirin or the Tang, His Majesty would certainly command them personally. On the battlefield, any accident can happen at any time. If your Majesty were to die accidentally, as the only son of the late emperor, he would naturally be able to take advantage of the situation and become the queen of our Moyan Empire. As he finished speaking, Mo Dan's eyes, which were looking at Mo Yi, revealed a hint of undisguised fanaticism. This is indeed a wonderful result. The corner of Mo Yi's mouth lifted slightly. A light smile floated onto her delicate and exquisite face. But her pair of beautiful jade blue eyes grew brighter and brighter. Within her eyes, her ambition seemed to have turned into 2 small flames, instantly turning into a blazing prairie fire. Pa, pow, pa. 3 loud applause suddenly echoed outside the door, followed by the creak of the courtyard door opening. Mo Dan's expression suddenly changed. With a slight movement of his feet, he instantly appeared in front of Mo Yi, blocking his attack as fast as lightning. He placed his right hand on his waist, looking at the door cautiously, his eyes filled with anger. The result is indeed wonderful. However, I'm afraid you won't be able to see it." A sneer sounded, and immediately after, two figures walked in from outside. There was a youth dressed in black slightly in front of them. He had a handsome face and was tall and slender. At his back was a weapon wrapped in black cloth. His eyes revealed a mocking smile. Behind him followed a tall and slim black-robed woman. She seemed to be around 18 or 19 years old, but her figure was curvaceous and alluring. Her appearance was also exceptionally beautiful. Tang Huan. Beside the stone table, Mo Yi slowly stood up. Her brows quietly relaxed as an expression of surprise swept across the depths of her deep blue eyes. It was fine that Tang Huan found this place accurately, but he was still able to barge in boldly. It had to be known that there were a large number of martial warriors guards arranged around the courtyard, and some of them were even rank 6 martial masters. Tang Huan was able to kill Wu Yan, who was a level 5 martial master last night. He was strong, but definitely not a match for a level 6 martial master. Could it be that woman behind him? Mo Yi, you really are a bird in a stone. Tang Huan smiled as he looked at the beautiful girl with red hair and green eyes who was a few meters away. After returning from the Divine Armament Hall, he carefully thought about it and realized that the target of everything was the Grand Elder Princess of the Moyan Empire. It was originally just a judgment, but after hearing the sounds in the courtyard, it was completely confirmed. Tang Huan never thought that despite her young age, the Grand Princess was actually so scheming. Under her indifferent look, there was actually such a huge hidden ambition. He would first divulge the news to him, then take the opportunity to capture Shatu in one fell swoop. This was clearly a plan from long ago. Even if he didn't happen to meet them at the right time, there would still be others who would fall for their trick. The reason why they revealed the news about Wu Yan and the others to him was to let him live through his revenge. As long as he was alive, he could be framed successfully. Once the rumors she made up spread, Tang Huan would be left alone. Even with all his mouth, he would not be able to explain himself. If he was truly seen as a murderer by the Emperor of the Sand Empire, he would have no choice but to rely on Great Tang Empire or Divine Armament Hall that could contend with the Sand Empire to survive in this world. But if he really did that, it would very likely cause a war to break out, especially if he chose to rely on the Great Tang Empire. Chapter 78. The Honor Continent, Tang Dynasty, Moyan, and Sharon, these three empires, had always looked as though they were on the same level. The reason why they had been safe and sound these past few years was because of the strong threat from the Tranquil Continent. It allowed them to form human allied forces to resist the invasion of the Devil Clan together. But even so, the three empires were still scheming and scheming. Previously, when the allied army had been forced to retreat, it had something to do with this. Now that Burning Heaven had been severely injured, the Devil Clan had been forced to retreat, and the sharp swords that hung over the heads of the three great empires had already disappeared. If Mo Yi's plan succeeded, this matter would very likely become the fuse that led to the war between the three nations, causing the Honor Continent to be lit on fire again. At that time, if the Emperor of the Moyan Empire accidentally died, Mo Yi could really take advantage of the chaos and become the Empress of the Empire. This world was not like the ancient era where Tang Huan had existed. In the 5,000 years of history, there was only one Empress Wu Zetian. Here, both men and women could train, and countless geniuses and experts could be found among the women. They could also become hegemons of this region. If Mo Yi really ascended the throne and became the queen of the Moyan Empire, it would not cause much of a backlash within the kingdom. Tang Huan, I have underestimated you. A faint smile surfaced on Mo Yi's face. I didn't think you would think of me so soon. Looks like I personally went to find you yesterday, and it was indeed a little wrong. Mo Yi thought for a moment, then understood the crux of the matter. However, I was surprised that you could find this place. As they spoke, Mo Yi's gaze landed on Shen Shan, who was beside Tang Huan. As the Grand Princess of the Moyan royal family, her mother couldn't possibly be that ugly. Furthermore, her mother was known to be a beauty in the world. Having inherited her mother's beauty, she couldn't help but admire herself occasionally because of her beauty. In fact, she had seen quite a few beauties in the past few years. However, The number of beauties that could rival her could be counted on one hand. Even the great Tang Empire's little princess Tang Yun, who participated in the artifact forging competition together and obtained third place, was only able to share a fair share of fame with her. However, the woman in black in front of him caused her eyes to light up. Not only her appearance, but even her figure was better than hers. This was also because of the black robe he was wearing. If he were to change into a more suitable set of clothes, it would definitely make his appearance and figure even more outstanding. Seeing such an absolute beauty, although Mo Yi did not feel ashamed about his looks, it was the first time that he felt some jealousy in his heart. However, this little thought was quickly suppressed by her. What she was most interested in was the background of this black-robed woman. She already knew that there was a girl in Tang Huan's blacksmith shop, but according to her intelligence, she was just an ordinary person. As such, she did not care, but from the looks of it, the situation was clearly not the case. Firstly, if the other party was really an ordinary girl, Tang Huan would not have brought him here at all. Furthermore, Tang Huan did not agree to the recruitment process of the Great Tang Imperial Family or Divine Armament Hall. It was impossible for her to obtain information on where she was staying from him so quickly. However, Tang Huan still quickly went to find him. The ones who leaked the news to him must be from some other power. Furthermore, Tang Huan and the black-robed woman were able to quietly make their way out of the courtyard. The martial warriors' guards that were surrounding her were probably either killed or captured, and the person who was able to do so was undoubtedly an expert. Although Tang Huan possessed extraordinary talent in terms of tools method, due to the limitations of his strength, it was impossible for him to accomplish this. In this way, the black-robed woman who appeared at the same time as Tang Huan naturally became the most suspicious of target. Tang Huan obviously knew that Mo Yi was guessing at Shen Shan's background, and a mocking smile surfaced in his eyes. Mo Yi, you killed Shatu, and blamed this matter on me. Not only can you completely get rid of this disgusting fiancé, you can also pave the way for yourself. However, it would be too early for you to be happy if you think that we have completed our mission already. Oh, I don't think so. Mo Yi raised her brows slightly. A proud expression surfaced within her beautiful eyes. Tang Huan, the news about this new Ling, Furious Waves, city has already spread towards the direction of the plain between two continents and the capital of the Shiran Empire at the fastest speed possible. If I were you, I would immediately go to the God-Down City or the Heavenly Forging City and not waste time here. If you do not have the protection of the Tang Imperial Family or the Divine Armament Hall, in a few days, perhaps it will be your anniversary. I do not wish to come to the New Ling, Furious Waves, city next year to pay respects to my only friend. Mo Yi, do you think that you're the only one who knows how to frame a crime? Before Tang Huan could even open his mouth to speak, Shen Shan snorted coldly and said, I reckon after a while, the corpses and weapons of some of your martial warriors as guards will be found one after another in the southern part of the city. The ones who killed them are the weapons of Wu Yin and the other three. In addition, a few corpses were also found not far from where Shachu and the others were killed. One of them was even a rank 6 martial master. Rank 6 martial master, Mo Ying. You guys killed Mo Ying and the others? After Tang Huan and appeared, the surrounding martial warriors' guards had not shown themselves the entire time. She had a bad premonition, but there was still a trace of hope in the bottom of her heart. After hearing Shen Shen's words, that little hope was completely shattered. A rank 6 martial master, a few rank 5 and many rank 4 martial masters were all killed just like that? Didn't this mean that there were only 2 people left on their side? Mo Don's eyes showed a hint of panic. When their corpses appeared in the south side of the city, it immediately reminded people of the fact that Shatu was killed, not to mention that some of the martial warriors as guards were killed by the weapons of Wu Yin and the rest. Wu Yin was one of the guards' captains next to Shatu. When Mo Yi heard this, her eyebrows knitted even tighter. But after a while, she smiled again. So what? As long as the news from the beginning spreads to the plain between 2 continents and the capital of Sharon, even if there were different messages later on, They would only make people feel that it was someone deliberately framing Mo Yun and Sharon, instigating their relationship. "I'm sorry, I have something else to tell you." The news you spoke of had already been sent by the two bloodling heavenly hawks to the plain between two continents and Sharon Nation respectively. The news will be spread widely in those two places in at most 3 to 5 days. That's why I got the news just now. Bloodling heavenly hawk. Hearing these words, not only the middle-aged woman Mo Dan, even the always calm Grand Princess Mo Yi's face immediately changed. Chapter 79. Who the hell are you to raise such a spirit beast? In the next moment, Mo Dan immediately asked, her beautiful eyes staring straight at Shan Shan, her gaze filled with unconcealable shock. Not only is it able to travel 10,000 miles a day, it can also fly without rest for 5 days and 5 nights straight. It is the fastest flying spirit beast in the world, and indeed, it can reach the capital of the Sharon Empire in 3 days, allowing one to enter the origin continent in 5 days. Mo Yi bit her red lips slightly, took a deep breath, and in a short period of time, her expression had calmed down yet again. She smiled indifferently. "Tang Huan, could you introduce this sister beside you to a spirit beast like Bloodling Skyhawk?" As she finished speaking, there seemed to be a violent flicker of azure light in Mo Yi's beautiful eyes. Mo Yi looked calm on the outside, but Tang Huan could feel an almost uncontrollable rage in her eyes. Obviously, the current unforeseen event had greatly exceeded her expectations. Before the rumors she spread even reached Sharon's capital and the plain between two continents, the news of her killing Shatu had already spread widely in those two places. With the preconceived idea, the rumors she created could still be considered to have some effect, and the lethality of the rumors towards Tang Huan would be greatly reduced. "I don't mind telling you, she's my maid." Tang Huan was originally going to reject her, but then he felt a sense of ridicule from the bottom of his heart, so he casually said, "Mo Yi, I'm so sorry, I made you dream of an empress for nothing. Go to my room and tell me." Acux.com. "That's right, I am indeed just a small maid." Shan Shan smiled, but when she said those words, she was even gnashing her teeth in anger. "A maid?" Mo Yi was startled, as if he was a bit suspicious. "Tang Huan, it was indeed my miscalculation this time. I had originally thought that even though you had extraordinary talent in terms of tools method, you were merely an abandoned son of the Tang family who had no one to rely on in this new Ling, Furious Waves, city. Since she was only a maid, then there must be other powers hiding behind Tang Huan. Maybe this maid was also given to him by that power." From this, it could be seen that this Tang Huan had probably pledged his allegiance to the great Tang imperial family before the weapon refining competition began. It wasn't that he didn't want to accept it, but that he had no other choice. The reason why she chose the chess piece named Tang Huan was because she saw that he had no one to rely on, and in the end, had no choice but to accept the protection of the Divine Armament Hall or the great Tang imperial family. But from the looks of it, it seemed like he had made a mistake. Previous chapter, Table of Contents. Submit. "Why would I need to rely on other powers?" Mo Yi, there's no harm in telling you this. On the surface, I might be the Tang family's bastard son, but in reality, I'm the legitimate son of a large family. However, the clan I come from is a little special. My son has to go out to gain experience since he was young and can only return after he is 20. Originally, no one knew about this matter, but in the end, you exposed it. "What?" Mo Dan cried out in shock, while Mo Yi also revealed a bewildered expression. This was only a rumor fabricated by them, but hearing Tang Huan's words, it sounded like it was true. Was it his fault? Or was Tang Huan was spouting nonsense? Compared to Mo Yi and Mo Dan, when Shan Shan heard his words and saw his serious look, he almost burst out laughing. Just thinking about how Tang Huan called him maid, Shan Shan couldn't help but feel annoyed. "Mo Yi, your calculations are indeed brilliant, and it is fortunate that I, as your maid, am capable. Otherwise, I really would have failed this time." Tang Huan smiled and ignored the murderous look that Shan Shan had in his eyes as he looked at the Grand Princess of the Mo Yun Empire mockingly. However, although I have jumped out from the sewer now, we still have to settle our debts." "What, you still want to kill me?" Mo Yi's eyes revealed a hint of coldness. "I shouldn't have killed you. If you die, who will the Emperor of the Shirin Empire seek to avenge his precious son?" Tang Huan smiled as he shook his head, his gaze sweeping across her milky white breasts a few times as he ridiculed, "Mo Yi, you seem to be quite pretty. I just happen to be lacking a warm bed girl. Why don't you stay here and repay me for a few days?" "Meet?" Hearing these two words, Shan Shan was the first to react. He glared at Tang Huan fiercely. Mo Yi was stunned at first, but only after a while did she understand what she meant. A flush quietly rose up on her fair and tender cheeks, but anger was faintly discernible between her brows. "How dare you!" Mo Dan's face was filled with anger. He bellowed, and with a flick of his waist, his right hand, a black whip made out of unknown materials appeared in a flash. Like a black ray of light, it flew across the sky and struck. However, the target was not Tang Huan, but rather, it had chosen Shan Shan out of the blue. "Pa!" The whip shot through the air, and a clear sound of explosion suddenly rang out. It was as if even space itself had been blown apart, and the incomparably swift and fierce strength she rapidly spread outwards along with the whip. Wherever the whip passed, it seemed as if a fierce wind had swept up, and a powerful pressure immediately filled the entire courtyard. "Humphrey!" Right at this moment, a cold snort suddenly sounded out. It wasn't loud, but it sounded like thunder in a clear sky, causing one's eardrums to buzz. At almost the same time, a faint kai sound pierced the air, and a white light suddenly burst forth. It came later, and arrived first, striking the black whip before it could even touch Shan Shan. Ding! Under the violent impact, the strength chi stirred crazily. The long black whip instantly retracted, and Mo Dan continued to retreat. His right arm quickly moved, and the whip's body actually began to violently tremble like a snake, continuously dissipating that powerful force. The white streak of light paused in the air and then fell towards the ground. However, it had only descended not more than half a meter, when a withered, firewood-like palm extended out. With one hand, it caught it, and impressively, it was a thin blade about 4 inches long and 1 inch wide. A brilliant white light leaked out from its finger, and a stooped figure appeared in front of Shan Shan. It was an old man in green clothes, about 70 or 80 years old. He had a face full of wrinkles, but a terrifying light shone out from his eyes. Seeing this old man, Tang Huan's state of mind slightly stirred, and an additional strange expression appeared in his eyes as he looked at Shan Shan. Behind Mo Dan, Mo Yi's face darkened. She clenched her teeth and suddenly jumped back. "Mo Dan, stop him!" In the air, Mo Yi twisted her waist in a strange manner and actually turned around with her delicate body. Her beautiful hands gently grabbed onto the 3-meter-tall roof eaves and sprouted out. Then with a slight movement of her body, she leapt onto the roof. Her footsteps, however, did not stop at all, and in the blink of an eye, she disappeared without a trace. Chapter 80. Shan Shan, you stay here. Seeing this, the corner of Tang Huan's mouth revealed a faintly discernible sneer. After speaking to Shan Shan quickly, he rushed towards the front as fast as lightning. Love, 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 love. Just as his body was about to collide with the wall, Tang Huan jumped out of the ground and climbed over the wall. This place was located at the outermost edge of the western part of the city. There were many houses here, but not many people lived here. Before Tang Huan had appeared, he had already figured out the terrain of this area. After exiting the courtyard, Tang Huan quickly dashed through the passageway, and in a short period of time, he had disappeared without a trace. At the same time, Mo Yi took a left and right detour within the passageway. Not long after, his field of vision opened up. Not far ahead was the dense forest. A faint smile surfaced on Mo Yi's beautiful face. There would definitely be people chasing after her, but as long as they entered the forest, escaping would be much easier. Bam! But right at that moment, a loud noise suddenly burst out, The earth wall not far away to the right suddenly exploded without any warning, and in the smoke and dust that filled the sky, a red light suddenly flashed. Like an arrow leaving the bowstring, it shot towards Mo Yi, and wherever it passed by, it dragged out a sharp whistling sound. Love, 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 love. Mo Yi's smile froze. Her face suddenly changed. The red light was not only as fast as lightning, but it was also releasing a blazing heat. Even if it was a meter or two away, she could still clearly feel the exceptionally fierce heat, to the point that her clothes were about to be lit on fire. Tang Huan. Although she did not see the figure behind the smoke and dust, Mo Yi was able to guess the identity of the approaching person. The moment the two words came out of her mouth, she immediately retreated. At almost the same time, a silk-thin red glow shot out from his finger, almost soundlessly. Ding! In a split second, the two thick and thin streaks of red light fiercely collided with each other with the speed of lightning, and a series of crisp sounds exploded out. The moment the two sides collided, an even more intense heat spread outwards in all directions as the strength chi twisted and turned. In a split second, the temperature of this small patch of void actually skyrocketed. Yes, however, Mo Yi seemed to not care in the slightest about the changes in the surrounding temperature. The moment he gave a stuffy snort, that thread of tiny red light was shot backwards from the violent impact. After twirling around in the air a few times, it instantly shrank back into his sleeve and disappeared. The thick red light also retreated slightly before stopping in the air. It was a red spear. Within the brilliant fiery red light, there were even wisps of green, causing the long spear to look even more vibrant and dazzling. Mo Yi, you won't be able to escape. Amidst the laughter, a black figure walked out from the smoke and dust that filled the sky. It was Tang Huan. Not only did he hold on to a spear, his slender body was also straight like a spear, with an imposing manner, and the gaze he looked at Mo Yi with had a tinge of ridicule in it. Tang Huan, I am already a rank 5 mage. You think you, a rank 4 martial master, would be able to keep me here? Mo Yi's beautiful face congealed into frost, and a cold light flashed in the depths of her deep blue eyes. Rank 5 martial master, it's not like I've never killed one before. Tang Huan chuckled. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly swung the spear. The scarlet flame spear shot out like a spirit serpent from its hole, piercing forward like lightning. Humphrey! Mo Yi's face sunk. In that instant, he gently raised his right arm, and that thin thread of red light that was even more dazzling appeared from his sleeves once again. Like a ray of light, it shot towards Tang Huan. An extremely fierce heat was also emitted from within the red light. It was as if it was condensed from an extremely dense flame. In the blink of an eye, that small red light once again collided with Tang Huan's scarlet flame spear. Ding! A crisp sound resounded through the void once more. At this moment, Tang Huan's pupils contracted. That red light was an unknown weapon, and it looked like steel wire from his previous life. But it was much softer than steel wire. It was forged using an unknown strange ore. After the fierce collision with the spear point, not only did it not shoot back like it had before, but it wrapped itself around the spearhead, and then began to rapidly spread upwards along the spearhead like a vine. After the flick of a finger, Tang Huan felt an extremely powerful binding and pulling force coming from the red silk, as though it was going to pull the scarlet flame spear off his palm. Although the Grand Princess of the Moyan Empire was also a martial master, she was definitely much stronger than Wu Yan, especially her control over Zen Qi, and Wu Yan was even more so. The inside the Danshan, Nine Yang Divine Furnace and the Spirit Wheel revolved crazily. The true energy in all 9 of his meridians revolved, as though raging waves, and roared towards Tang Huan's arms with astonishing speed. In the next moment, strong true chi rushed out of his palms and penetrated into the crimson flame spear. Buzz! In the midst of intense trembling sounds, an even more intense red glow burst out. Tang Huan rubbed his hands together and the fiery red spear body shook extremely hard. The red silk threads around the spear tip finally loosened up quite a bit. Prairie flames! Tang Huan shouted loudly, almost without any hesitation. The sharp tip of his spear released a circle after circle of spear shadows at a speed that was difficult for the naked eye to catch, like ripples, circle after circle, circle after circle, circle after circle. Within each circle of spear shadows, there seemed to be a little bit of flame that was flickering and expanding. After realizing that Mo Yi's strength was stronger than he expected, Tang Huan immediately used his most powerful killing move. With last night's experience, Tang Huan had a deeper understanding of the flaming rainbow spear art way of setting the prairie ablaze, and this spear also revealed an even stronger power. Flaming rainbow spear art? Mo Yi's face immediately changed. With a light swirl of his right hand, the red thread quickly retreated. Fire lotus burst. Mo Yi's slender and white fingers danced like a butterfly. The thread was like a red fairy, crazily jumping around in her hands. In an instant, a flaming red lotus condensed in front of her, quickly expanding, and welcomed the roaring flames of the prairie. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the two collided. The huge fire lotus was like a volcano erupting, and it instantly burst out layer after layer of unusually violent and frightening power, wanting to tear that flame apart. Unfortunately, the flame didn't weaken, but instead became even more intense, instantly covering the fire lotus and completely devouring it. For a moment, flames shot into the sky, filling the air with their heat. In an instant, there was a clanging sound, and the red light in the sky dissipated like the tide. Immediately, Mo Yi suddenly shouted out. She staggered backwards, her face as white as cream had a sickly flush on it. The red thread disappeared into her sleeves again, but this time, there were lines of blood flowing out between her fingers.